Welcome back to your Yankees Latest. I'm your host, John Laloggia. Yanks blank the Red Sox. They win 4-0. Advance to the ALDS with a historic performance from Cam Schlittler, who was absolutely dominant. One of the best postseason pitching performances by a rookie we've ever seen. He was absolutely dominant. I've been saying it for months. This guy is young, but he may have the best stuff on this staff. And it was starting pitching that got them through this series. It was really tough, but they did it. And they did it really on the backs of starting pitching. They did not hit a ton of home runs. They did it with manufacturing runs, and they showed you a different way of how they could win ball games. But make no mistake, Fried, Rodon, Schlittler, starting pitching ruled the day for this series. And that's how they got it done, and it's definitely how they won Game 3, with Schlittler being absolutely lights out. I want to just take you through a little bit of the game because it was not a traditional Yankees win for the most part, just because they manufactured runs. Schlittler was on point from the beginning, throwing 100 up in the top of the zone. The Red Sox had Connolly early, a young lefty on the mound who looked like he was 12 years old. He actually looked really good early on. And then in the second, Stanton rips a ball that he thought was a home run and didn't run, and who was lucky got to second base. 114.5 miles an hour off the bat. Then Ahmed Rosario gets an RBI base hit. Some of these balls weren't hit pretty hard. Other than Stanton's ball, no balls were hit particularly hard. They just found holes. But again, and we'll get to this in a little bit, the Yankees did not strike out, and they made contact. And they forced this defense to make plays, which they could not do. The Red Sox defense is suspect. And boy, if you have a bad defense, boy, does it rear its ugly head in the playoffs specifically. Any errors you make, any plays you don't make, they're really magnified. I mean, if you look at the Cubs series against the Padres, how well Nico Hoerner and Dansby Swanson played. Mike Schilt even said Dansby Swanson beat us this series with his glove. I mean, that's just how important defense is. And we saw in this game, too, the Red Sox did not make key plays. Jarren Duran not being able to make that play in left field the other night off a Judge's ball. And then Ceddanne Rafaela not being able to make that catch on that bloop hit from Bellinger, who wound up getting to second base, which started the four-run rally in the fourth. So Volpe hitting an RBI single, going to the right side, finding a hole. Guys not striking out. I mean, it's just really key for this game. And then Austin Wells is great at bat. Fights off a really good sinker down and in from early, and Nathaniel Lowe could not handle it at first base. Bounced off his glove. 2-run score. That would be it for runs, bottom of the fourth. I mean, it's a backhanded play. He's got to make that play. It's a ground ball. But credit the Yankees for making contact and putting pressure on this defense. When you don't strike out and you make contact, good things will happen. If you look at the Astros for how many years they made the World Series or the ALCS, they ranked number 1 in contact rate. They did not strike out, which was the opposite of the Red Sox. They struck out a lot, which brings me to Cam Schlittler. He was absolutely electric. I mean electric. 8 innings pitched, 5 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 12 strikeouts. Statistically, it's the greatest performance ever, like by a starter, other than Don Larson's perfect game, I think, in the 55 World Series. Like, he was incredible for a 22, 23-year-old. He was unbelievable. His stuff was 100-mile-an-hour sinkers up in the zone that tailed back to the top of the zone. Sinkers up and into righties, sinkers down and into righties at 99, 101. Really used to sinker a lot, 101 at the bottom of the zone. He threw more sinkers last night than I can remember. Just two-seamer, sinker, whatever you want to call it. Just a ton of movement at 100. And then a just devastating cutter, which he used quite a bit to lefties and to righties at 92, 93, just to throw him off. But then his bread and butter was the sinker, two-seamer at 99, and then the four-seamer at 100, 101 that he would just blow past people away or up in the zone. They had absolutely no chance. No chance. He was absolutely dominant. He was in control. His command was there. And when you have that type of stuff in command, it's over. It's absolutely over. There is one point where he just blew away Rafaela on a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. And then same thing again. At one point, Abreu, too, in the seventh, he was just like, screw it. I'm going to blow it past him. And he did it again to Romy Gonzalez later in the game. I mean, as the game went on, he was just like, F it. I throw 100 miles an hour. They're worried about my two-seamer, sinker that I established earlier in the game. I'm just going to attack. And with a 4-run lead, you can do that and be aggressive, and he did. And after the seventh inning, I was like, okay, that's a wrap. And then I think Boone brought him out for the eighth inning again, probably because of game one with Fried and what happened then with taking Fried out early. I just think his performance was so dominant. He's like, I got to let him go. And he was over 100 pitches at that point. But then the Red Sox swung at everything, and I think he had like a 6 or 7 pitch eighth inning. He was unbelievable. I've said it for the last couple months that if this guy has command, he has the best stuff on the staff, which is saying something with Fried and Rodon, who are absolute studs. So, again, starting pitching. David Cohn talked about it on the broadcast. I've been saying it for a long time. Like, we talk about bullpens a lot, and they are huge, and they are integral in having a good postseason run, especially now with how baseball is. But if you have 3 frontline starters in Rodon, Fried, and Schlittler, who may have the best stuff out of all of them, and they can go 6, 7 innings, you don't have to worry about finding 27 outs or piecing 3 or 4 guys in the middle to later innings. You can just go straight to Bednar, who was awesome in the ninth, locating his breaking ball, keeping guys off balance. He's been phenomenal. And the Yankees played a clean game, played great defense. That play by McMahon, catching the ball in foul territory and then diving into the Red Sox dugout and flipping over, that was incredible. But that's why he's there. And credit Brian Cashman for getting David Bednar. Credit Brian Cashman for getting Ryan McMahon, who you want to in for defensive purposes at third base late in the game, which is exactly why he was in there. Stanton went 1 for 3 with a double, probably the most hard-hit ball of the day. But again, it really does go back to Yankees making contact and putting pressure on the Red Sox. The bloop hit by Bellinger, Rafaela not being able to make that play. He takes second base. That starts a rally. That starts momentum. Austin Wells making contact on a really good 95-mile-an-hour sinker down and in from early. Makes contact. Lowe has to make a play at first base. In between hop, he backhands it, goes off his glove, 2-run score. The night before, that Judge not striking out, making contact in left field, and Duran not being able to come down with that ball coming in on it. The Yankees made contact. They did not strike out. They forced the Red Sox to make plays, and sort of what the Dodgers did to the Yankees last year. Of like the Yankees the Dodgers didn't respect the Yankees from a defensive perspective. So they're like, if we just put the ball in play, they're gonna. I think the term Chris Taylor used was like they're just gonna piss down their leg, and they did. They fell apart. But we saw the Yankees do that to the Red Sox, where they did make contact. They didn't strike out. Bellinger just being able in that lineup to play defense, hit the ball, and make contact and not strike out is such a huge benefit for this team. Austin Wells has been playing great. So, again, putting pressure on the defense, making them make plays. They couldn't, and that was the Red Sox downfall. I think Cora knew that Schlittler had this capability, which is sort of why he tried to go for it last night and just couldn't get it done. And some of those defensive miscues from the Red Sox really reared their ugly head. But give the Yankees credit, and a team that strikes out a lot and hits a lot of home runs for playing small ball and making contact and moving runners along and putting pressure on the defense, showing you another way to win. And I think because of how great the starting pitching was, I feel like this team doesn't feel like they have to live and die by the home run. This starting pitching is actually better than last year. I know they had Cole last year, and they don't have him this year because he's hurt. But overall, holistically as a team, those three starters, they are a threat. They are going to be very, very difficult because Fried, Rodon, and Schlittler have electric stuff and could shut down the Toronto lineup, even though it's stacked. They really, really could. Because other than Gausman, I'm not worried about anybody on Toronto's pitching staff. I'm more worried about their lineup. But if you have three frontline starters who can contribute like this, they're going to be in pretty good shape. So that brings me to quick ALDS preview with the Blue Jays. They head to Toronto. That's going to be awesome. They've had their struggles against Toronto this year because they lost the tiebreaker. That game is Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox. It's going to be incredible. Springer's hot, Guerrero Jr., Alejandro Kirk, a bunch of stars in this game, really, really talented players. So I think what we're going to get is it's going to be announced today and Friday. It's either going to be Kevin Gausman or Shane Bieber. Both those guys are absolutely phenomenal, and they both know how to pitch, and they both know how to pitch in pressure and postseason games. So you're probably going to see Gausman, I would think. But hands down, those are two of their best starters. But, again, Gausman is their ace. And he's been pretty good against the Yankees, too. He's had a 3.97 ERA with 18 strikeouts. 12 walks, though, which is a lot, and 4 starts against the Yanks this year. Judge against Toronto, over 61 plate appearances, 354, 6 home runs, a 1.283 OPS. Obviously, very, very good. Stanton has hit them really well as well, 1.161 OPS in just 33 plate appearances. So Gausman's splitter will really be challenged because we know Stanton is a low ball hitter. Judge pretty much hits everything, but Stanton really is a low ball hitter. And so if that splitter doesn't split and dive down and stays up, you could be looking at a couple potential home runs from Stanton and really doing some damage. The Yankees probably, this is where I get worried because it's like you got to start either Luis Gil or Will Warren. I'm going with Luis Gil. He's definitely been better, 4-1, a 3.32 ERA versus Warren, 9-8, 4.4 ERA. I really like Luis Gil in this game, especially on just one day off on Friday and then you start on Saturday. He was not on the AL wildcard roster, but again, he won the Rookie of the Year last year, and he definitely has sacrificed some of his velocity for control and command. And he beat Toronto on September 6th, just allowing 6 runs. So he has experience pitching against them. I think is a viable start. You got to give those 3 other guys rest because you want them full strength for this series because you're going to get, that's a huge advantage that the Yankees have, that you have these 3 frontline starters. So if you can win in just at least one game to get those 3 guys starts, I think you have a really, really good chance at winning this. Lineups. So Bo Bichette has got a left knee sprain, which could possibly change things. But this is how the Blue Jays were probably going to line up against Teal. Springer, DH, Luke's in right field, Guerrero at first, Kirk catching, Santander at left field, Barger, who's got a tremendous power, very dangerous, is in left field or third base. Varsho, center field, who's an excellent defender, Clement at second, and then Andres Jimenez at short, who's obviously an absolutely elite defender. For the Yankees, if they're going to go against Gausman or Bieber, they led the majors with 274 home runs. 30 more than the next team, the Dodgers. So they'll probably go Grisham in center, Judge in right, Bellinger left, Rice at first base, which you have to play him. Stan DH, Chisholm, Wells, Volpe, and then McMahon at third. That's the other thing about Toronto is that they do not strike out. They put the ball in play, and so defense is a priority. I know McMahon's bat hasn't really been there, and that's not really what he's here for. But defense, as we've seen in this playoffs, are really, really important. And I think that's a really smart move to have him in the 9 spot playing third base for the defense. I think it warrants a start for him, especially against this team who does not strike out and makes a lot of contact. Should be awesome. I can't wait. I'll be off for the weekend, but I'll be back here on Monday to recap Game 1. I believe the series, if I'm not mistaken, as I go through my ESPN app and look at this. Okay. Yankees, Jays on Saturday, and then they do play on Sunday. Okay. Because some teams are off and some teams are on. So they do play on Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern. So I will be here Monday morning to recap games 1 and 2 of the series, and hopefully the Yankees go 2-0, and then, bring it back home to New York for Game 3. Should be awesome. Can't wait. Yankees win. They move on to the ALDS. Cam Schlittler is an absolute stud. This has been your Yankees Latest. I'm your host, John Laloggia. Have a great weekend. Enjoy Games 1 and 2. I'll be back on Monday to recap those. Take care. We'll see you later.